Welcome to BumbleKast Live. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is my Bumble co-host, Kyle, JCRB Kraus.
Hey, what's up? We're here. It's time for the BumbleKast. And we have questions coming in.
Good.
It's a pretty steady stream. That's pretty good. Awesome.
We missed our usual January end of month because we were at MagFest.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a fun retrospective with the crew coming up on that.
Yes, indeed.
And we're a little off base end of the month here, but you know it's the last weekend in the month. We're still relatively on track.
Mm-hmm.
Big shout out to Jen and Rye, who are managing all the questions. Shout out to Kazzy, who manages all the social media stuff. And a gentle, loving reminder that we're not covering any Sonic the Hedgehog related questions on the show at all.
None of that blue rat stuff.
So please keep that in mind as you send in your super chats and your regular stuff, because we can't refund super chats. Can't do it.
Not easily. Yeah.
Be mindful of that.
Yes, indeed.
Otherwise, please ask only one question at a time. Wait for it to be answered before you submit another one. Super chats, we will try to get through all of them in a single evening. Anything we don't get to will be rolled over into the next available recording session. And I think that's everything.
Yeah, that's just about it. So we've got questions rolling in, so let's go ahead and get into them.
Yes.
Start off with this one from Super Sharkbait. Time for a multiversal body swap. Noel Holiday from Deltarune and the Pyro from TF2 switch bodies. What madness ensues?
It's the exact same for both of them.
Well, I mean, Noel will just be going...
Yeah, the dialogue's less intelligible, but yeah, no.
Well, I mean, the dialogue is intelligible. Oh, they swapped body. I was thinking for some reason they swapped bodies, but also like swapped games. Like Noel was in TF2 in the Pyro's body, but I don't know. Maybe it would just be the Pyro, Noel in the Pyro's body.
Noel would set things on fire just as much as Pyro. And it's funny because she's such a sweet little cinnamon roll that would normally do that unless you're doing like the dark route.
Mm-hmm.
And I've explained the joke. It's dead now.
Yeah. Oh, well. I ruined it. You're welcome. All right, D-Guy has a question. So, Mr. Flynn, I'm an aspiring writer, and I was wondering if you could give me tips on how to write villainous characters sympathetically without drawing away from how evil and nasty they are.
Do be careful when you approach this, because you don't want them to be too sympathetic if they are a villain. Villain being a distinction from antagonist. Your antagonist doesn't necessarily have to be a bad guy. They are just someone who is in opposition to your protagonist. Villain is a bad guy. So be sure to define that for yourself first. In terms of sympathy, the really cheap route is just to give them some kind of tragic backstory. It's like, oh, they had a sad upbringing and that makes them sympathetic. That works for a lot of people. That's not the best route if you want something with a little more meat on the bone. If you really want them to be sympathetic, find their motivation and make it make sense to the reader. Like, they are up against some injustice or they are trying to fix some problem and they're going about it in a overtly negative way. A way that you can go, I understand where you're coming from, buddy, but that's not the way to do it. One of the most prominent versions in popular media recently is Thanos.
Yeah.
Like, the number of people who don't get why he's wrong is disturbing, but it's a testament to how charismatic he was, how genuine he was in his pursuit to bring about galactic peace through staggering genocide. So where he's coming from, he wants there to be peace. He wants there to be equality. He wants there to be a lack of starvation and housing issues. He wants everyone to have enough. Yeah, totally. Who doesn't want that? Great motivation. I will murder half of all of you is not a viable solution at all. It should not be entertained.
Well,
Never.
Well, why not?
And that's why he is a villain.
Oh.
Also, he enjoys inflicting emotional and physical torture upon people.
Well,
Villain.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, who doesn't once in a while?
But at the same time, you get to the end of that movie and the violins are reaching their crescendo and he sits there and he has that satisfied smile knowing that he's done it.
Yeah.
He saved the galaxy in his mind. And you can't help but feel a little good for him. He did it. He completed his hero's journey.
Hero,
of course, you can also
says.
make an argument. You can make an argument that that movie, he is the protagonist because it is his movie.
Uh-huh.
It is his story, his struggle. But yeah, we're getting off the point of your question. Your question is, how do you make a sympathetic villain?
Yeah.
And the answer, without going on another long-winded diatribe, is have their motivation make sense to the reader and give them some reason to, at least in part, root for them.
Uh-huh. I'm just laughing because in the chat, someone says, I just walked into Ian saying, I will kill all of you. What just happened? He didn't say all of you. He said half of you.
Yeah.
Get it right. Ian is Thanos confirmed. Metal Skulkbane has a question. Monsteropolis and that really tall building from Mega Man 2 intro screen. What were your plans regarding them in the comic? If none, shame on you, and come up with something on the spot.
I feel like we did this in a recent BumbleKast.
I think this came up recently, yeah, and you did actually have some kind of plan for it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you could remember what it was.
Well, Monsteropolis, I know this is going to sit well with some Mega Man fans, but I didn't think it made sense for the name of the city that Mega Man is in. It was a bit of slapdash localization when nobody really cared about it.
It's it's a holdover from the old localization.
Right.
Yeah.
So we just kind of danced around it until Mega Man had saved the day enough that we just renamed the city.
Right.
So we kind of just avoided the issue altogether. I want to say the super tall building was at least homaged in the New Year's Day special.
I want to say that it showed up in some fashion or some reference to it, but it wasn't explained or acknowledged in the story or anything, I don't think.
And maybe this is just hindsight speaking, but having Mega Man stand there going, wow, that's a really tall building is a little on the nose, even for me.
Wow. That's the line?
Let's be honest, go back 10 years, I probably would have done that. Nah, it's a fun joke. It's an homage. Get off your high horse. And now grumpier, older me is like, no, listen, stupid. There are limits.
Are there? Why? Why are there limits, Ian? Don't limit
be surpassed.
Don't limit yourself.
To go further beyond.
Red Rebel has a question. What would you do if you're given the chance to write for a crossover between Mega Man and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
Oh,
that could be interesting.
Definitely.
Blue, yeah, it would be a color-coded crossover.
Definitely have to have some kind of mechanical version of the Rangers.
Yeah.
Like Rex Man and Triceratops Man and Mastodon Man or something. Maybe not something quite that awkward, but.
Mm-hmm.
Or Rock just manages to copy the data off the morphers and he gets his own whole set of Ranger powers to cycle through.
That could be interesting. He connects to the grid.
Yo, and Proto Man's the one who gets the dragon dagger. He whistles, don't he?
I mean, yeah. That makes sense. Yes, the dragon dagger flute that sounds like a trumpet. Yes. It's a good trumpet theme, though. All right, let's switch over to some super chats. We actually have built up quite a few.
Hey.
Here's one from KB. Ian, would you still be friends with Kyle if he was a worm? And Kyle, would you still be friends with Ian if he was a worm?
So, fun fact, after MagFest, we both befell a witch's curse, and we are both worms, and we are still both friends.
Yeah. It's true. I think we would be regardless, though. I mean, I'm not that much of a jerk, am I? A little bit.
We're not talking about being a jerk. We're talking about being a worm.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be a jerk to you if you were a worm.
Oh, that's true. And that's because you're a perfectly nice worm.
Yes, true. Thank you. Let's worm on out of here to the next question.
Well, not yet. We have more questions to answer.
Well, that's what I meant. We're going to worm to the next question. Worm our way through these questions. Bunny Bell 3 is here with one. For Aaliyah's birthday, talk about Yona of the Dawn for as long as you want. Happy birthday, Aaliyah.
Happy birthday to Aaliyah, the Bumble Queen.
Yes.
What we really ought to do is just have her tag in and
she's probably,
or just do an entire BumbleKast special where she talks about Yona.
Yeah, but if she wants to do that.
Yona of the Dawn is a currently ongoing manga that it's kind of a stealth surprise because it's in the girls manga collection where it's mostly the pretty girls falling in love with all the pretty boys and which one will give them kisses, mwah, mwah, mwah. And it certainly seems to start off like that because Yona is the young oblivious princess and she has her hunky best friend since childhood bodyguard and her incredibly beautiful betrothed prince who is also her childhood friend. And it's like, okay, you can totally see where this is going. And then beautiful prince murders her father in front of her, goes, oops, you weren't supposed to see that, and orders her to die. And she and hunky boyfriend Hack barely escape. And it kind of snowballs from there. And turns out that she is the reincarnation of the Red Dragon King. And she is destined to find the other incarnations of the other dragons that will support her. And of course, they're all varying degrees of very pretty boys. But there is no reverse harem. There is no jealousy. In fact, all of them are super brotastic and supportive of each other.
Okay.
It become like one of the first major story arcs is them infiltrating a human smuggling ring that is hidden by a front of an illegal narcotics ring, and Yona just straight up arrows a dude through the forehead out at sea. And then it turns into an incredibly violent political drama with tons of different factions across this fanciful kind of pseudo Korea moving at different points with individual characters having their own arcs as they come and grow, and Yona growing into her own leadership role, and the dragons themselves with their superpowers dealing with their traumatic history and just rising to the occasion. Right now they're doing a really mind mess with you spiritual realm arc thing. And every time there's a new chapter, I'm like, okay, so this is where it's going to resolve and move forward. And he's like, no, this is how it gets worse. It's like, oh, good. Great. Love this for them. So it's like the star of the magazine that it's in. So if you want a incredibly character driven, sometimes hyper violent, political drama, strategically driven fantasy epic that also has very pretty boys and very pretty girls, go read Yona of the Dawn.
I like how this is in a otherwise like a collection for romance stories.
Yeah, one of our supporters, Radri, actually helped us get one of the special editions from Japan because it had some limited edition poster in there. And you flip through it, and it's like, there's everybody in high school, and everybody in high school. Oh, more high school. Oh no, now they're in like an office setting. These all look the exact same. There's the girl and the two guys. Who will she get with? Who knows? Who cares? And that dude just got decapitated. Hello, Yona.
Nice.
Like one of the dragon's ability is he more or less becomes invulnerable once he hits his limit break, but he has to sustain a certain amount of physical damage to get there. It takes a long time for him to get there. He is in rough shape by the time he goes buck wild on these people. And woo.
Nice.
And I don't mean to say it's like gratuitous gory. I don't want to paint the picture that it's just like shock value. Like it treats violence as part of the story. It's an actual narrative tool. So, if you want your fights to have consequences, read Yona of the Dawn.
Alrighty, here's one from Knuckles Omega. Mega Man comics are returning by Udon. What are your thoughts?
I would like to know exactly what's been solicited at this point.
Number one of the timelines thing, I think. Yeah, that's the only thing so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will have more thoughts on that in the future.
Interesting.
Just, folks enjoy Mega Man. It's good that they're getting more Mega Man content. That's a thought. That's a good thought to have right now.
Yeah. Cameron D has a question. Have either of you ever declined or just flat out noped out of a project before or halfway through its production? If yes, could you talk about it? Some personal projects I've kind of like either given up on or just like, drifted away from, but not.
Yeah.
Can't think of anything.
There was one project that I was involved in that partway through they wanted to change the format of it. And I said, okay, that's fine, but we need to have an update to the contract to reflect that. And they got a him. I don't know if we can do that. We really need to keep on schedule. It's like, all right, then I can't proceed because this is new terms of work. And then within the week, the project was canceled. So,
whoops.
I didn't really nope out of that, but I was on the precipice of noping.
And we got a question from Twilord. You've been turned into vampires, but blood hasn't become any more appetizing. Do you starve for eternity?
No, because there's a lot of things I could get done as a vampire.
Yeah.
And I'd be a vampire for good, mind you. A good pyre. And I don't know, I guess I just have to find a way around it. Take my lumps. And why is there lumps in this blood? That makes it even worse.
That is weird. It's already coagulating. Wow.
No, this dude really, really, really needed to eat a salad. Blah. Blah, blah.
You would be doing that a lot.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would do that just because.
I know, that's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Behold, Kyle, I have become a vampire. You're like, you don't have to talk like that. I don't care. I'm a vampire now.
But you would.
Kyle goes whole Von Helsing just to make me stop.
You think I would? I'd just sit there giggling the whole time. Which is exactly the same thing we do now. So nothing changed. You do funny voices and I
Welcome to
sit
the
there giggling.
BumbleKast.
Yes.
Blah, blah. I am your Bumble Count.
Blah, blah,
Ian
blah.
Flynn. The
Blah,
Bumble
blah.
Count, I already used that joke.
Ah,
Anyone who calls me out, I'll suck your blood. Bleh.
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 This is what we've become.
Become.
This is, well, I mean, this is what we've been, but we've become even worse. Bladed Fox 14 has a question. For both of you, what's your favorite Robot Master theme?
Oh, shoot.
That's hard, but I'm going to say Darkman from Mega Man 5. Or not Darkman. Where is that? Where is it, Darkman? Yeah. Yeah. Darkman, who is the not Proto-Man.
Right.
Yeah.
I kind of would have to hear them all again, but I'm inclined to say Shadow Man.
Shadow Man's theme rules. So, yeah,
I mean,
that's a good one.
It's kind of like just throw a dart at the board. It's hard to go wrong.
True. I mean, yeah, it's like, I'm trying to think of a bad one, and I'm like, there really aren't any like outright bad ones. There's some that maybe aren't to your taste, but well, okay. I'm talking about 1 through 7 at least.
Mm.
You get into 8 and it's like, yeah, these aren't some of these aren't that great.
And I didn't experience 11 enough to remember what they were.
11s were, I mean, they're honestly hard to quantify. They're different from the themes of the rest of the classic franchise, so it's like, yeah, they don't quite fit the same. I don't know. I don't remember them either, honestly. Oh, well. Let's move on to this one here from Magic Glove. Hello, hope you all are doing well. Are there any cons you two may be guesting at?
I may do Fan Expo Toronto in August, but that is a big if. I don't know where I'm going to be personally and financially at that point.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. I do not have any immediate plans. So, but we'll see. Hero Squad has a question. Wario and Waluigi in DMC. How it go? Bury the white. I mean, I figured it would just be the same.
Who is it that screams about turning their dark soul to light? Which is funnier? Maybe Waluigi because he's more melodramatic of the two.
Is he? Yeah, I guess so. Otherwise, I'm not sure.
God, just imagining any of the vocal themes for them. I am the storm that is approaching. Encroaching.
They don't sing their own theme songs in the game.
Well, if Wario and Waluigi are in there, they absolutely are. You know they would.
Have to. I guess they have to. Okay.
Black hearts in isolation.
Okay. I'll allow it. Okay, let's switch over to some standard questions for a bit. SysMTG has one. Were Rock and Roll pre-Mega Man 1 basically the same person? If Roll became a hero and Rock stayed home, would events play out identically? You can give Rock a red dress and blonde wig for a full roll switch.
That's what I call a role reversal. But it wouldn't be the exact same, no, because they are not identical. But I imagine it would go similarly.
I mean, yeah, probably.
I mean, they both want to help. They both want to do what's right. So had Roll been the one to volunteer and become Mega Woman, I imagine she would still accomplish what Rock does, just in her own fashion. It would be nuanced, but it would be different.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right, here's one from Comic the Hedgehog. Kirby breaks into the Bumble compound and swallows each of you at various intervals. What powers does he get from each of you, and what does he look like afterwards?
All right, so with me, he gets the beard.
Yeah.
And it's just the microphone power, but it doesn't run out.
Okay. I guess with me, he would get glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And the power would be... I don't know.
To giggle.
Oh, well, yeah, but he already has that.
It's your distinct giggle, though.
Oh,
It's kind of like the sleep power. He just kind of
right.
becomes immobilized, going
Okay, okay. All right. I'll allow that too. Shadow the Destroyer has a question. You were tasked with creating Epic Mickey 3. What do you do?
There was an Epic Mickey 2?
Yes, there was. The Power of 2. It was for like Wii U and stuff.
I vaguely remember he teams up with Oswald, but that's it.
I think it's time for... I think the first thing you would be doing is researching the first two games.
Yeah.
Yes, Oswald's playable in the second one.
I'm not super familiar with the premise of the game because the first one is Oswald is bitter for being overshadowed, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And does he team up with a greater evil force?
I don't know.
Okay. And clearly he's on the up and up with Mickey at that point in the sequel, but I don't know what they're up against. So for an Epic Mickey 3, what do you do? Do you I mean, maybe it's a bit trite, but mind the kind of House of Villains thing. The various Disney villains are conspiring against them, or some darker variant of them comes about. Maybe a mix smash, combine villains, maybe.
Do you
A
bring in...
Maleficent Ursula combo that you have to divide and restore back to normal. Or
do you bring in Felix? Because he is in public domain, technically. Early versions of him, at least. Well, actually, I mean, he's been in public domain for like 30 years, so I think some of the later versions of... Some of the more recognizable versions of Felix would be in public domain by now. So that could be interesting.
Or lean into the aspect of 3 and have, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy as a
Or that
trio that you have to navigate the level with, and about the midway point something happens and now you're Oswald and who else? Is there any other scrapped characters you could use?
I don't know. There must be somebody at some point that was...
Team them up with like Scrooge and Pete? I don't know. And play with the gimmick a little bit, but I'm kind of grasping at straws because I'm not familiar enough with the core premise.
Yeah.
I don't know what the central themes are, what it is that they're trying to do in general, aside from restore what has been corrupted.
Apparently there's a character named Julius the Cat from before Oswald.
Really?
I'm not familiar with that. Yeah. Okay. It was before.
Keep digging in the graveyard and pick up bones. There's bound to be something there.
Yeah, that's okay. Interesting. That is a thing. Huh. Well, there you go. Ethan T has a question. Been working on a canon that had the Pokemon anime canon take place on the Mario Earth, realistically. Could it be cohesive? Uh,
I don't know. My first reaction is to say no, because as outlandish as the Pokemon themselves are, the anime has a fairly grounded, light sci-fi setting.
yeah, until you
They
get
have
into stuff
some,
like Mewtwo and whatever.
yeah. I mean, you've got your clones, you've got some like high grade tech here and there, a little bit of mysticism, but for the most part, the societies of the Pokemon anime world are pretty down to earth. Mario's world is not down to earth. Mario's world is just crazy.
Yes. Gravity is way off. You look at how he jumps. You can't jump like that in Pokemon.
I mean, this is your personal thing. So if you can find a way to conflate the two and make them work, then more power to you. I'm not going to sit here and go, no, you can't do that. Knock yourself out. Have fun with it.
Yeah.
And I would be lying to say if it wouldn't be fun to put together a team of like a Goomba, a Koopa Troopa, a Lakitu, or like Ash used Babam. Babam used Explode. It was super effective. There could be some fun to be had there. Like what kind of team would Bowser put together? But the worlds I don't see syncing up that easily.
Why not a Mario and Pokemon XCOM game?
I mean,
What
do it with a rabbit. Or, of course, then again, maybe I'm overthinking it because like New Donk City was pretty pedestrian.
I mean, aside from all the floating girders.
Yeah. So I just say Pokemon anime takes place in a region that isn't all psychedelic floating stuff.
I guess. I suppose. Here's one from Pedanticat. How much drama could have been avoided if Light and Wily just went to couples counseling?
Who's to say they didn't? They're old.
I mean,
They got a lot of history.
They got a, yeah. They've been around for a while.
The thing is, Light gives too much, and Wily will always take. Light needs to learn to respect himself and set up boundaries, and Wily needs to get over himself.
Yeah. He never will. But he does. He does need to. Nikki Rapid has a question. Ian, you're walking home from the store when suddenly, bam, you get hit by Truck Coon. Ian's Isekai adventures begin. You're sent to the world of Mega Man in the lab of Wily himself. How's it go? You get isekai'd again. I don't know if Nikki realizes this. You've been isekai'd before.
Well,
but
if it don't stick the first time, I guess. Just back up Truck Coon and try again. The question is, am I there as myself, or do I wake up as Bumble Man as part of the Mega Man 12 roster?
Why not? Yes. Why not both?
Mega Man pauses mid-shot. You're called Bumble Man, but you've got an alligator theme. What is that about? I'm like, just kid, take the shot. Get this over with.
just end it. Let's just move it on. Move on.
But my stage theme would be like a sick techno dance version of the BumbleKast theme. That would rock.
Yeah. I'm down. Let's get somebody to do that. Maybe. I got friends. I know some guys. Speaking of guys, here's that cartoonist guy with a question. Mr. Flynn, you've yet to show your pet Jeeble to the lady who runs your home, Midna. How will she react to the baby land shark? What would their dynamic be like? Please have fun with your answer.
Well, if it's anything like the other two cats, she's going to be a grumpy granny around it. The land shark just wants to be friends, and she's just going to growl and avoid it at all costs.
Yes.
And then go try to eat its food at 2 a.m. It's like, no, you have your own food. It's like special vet medicated food. You have to eat your food, but then I have to put that away because the land shark's going to go after that too. Why can't you guys just get along, please? You live in the same house.
Oh, they'll never get along, really. Maybe a little. They'll figure it out. Johan R. has a question. How does one find comic artist commissions on a low budget?
That
is tough.
Typically, artists who are just starting out, who are trying to build a portfolio and get out there, will have lower prices. The savvy ones are doing it to get the commissions to build that portfolio. The ones who are just learning the ropes are undervaluing themselves. And if you're listening to this and you are an artist just starting out, you have value.
Yes.
Bill what you think you are worth, and if that doesn't work, bill what you need to get by.
Yeah.
If you've got the talent and the chops, people will come to you. Even in this crappy economy, people want art. They desperately need the endorphins. So, and I understand, as someone who is not artistically inclined and whose projects hinge on talented artists, that money runs out real fast. But something you have to keep in mind is you are paying these artists for a service. They are providing something for you that you cannot do on your own. They need to be paid what they are worth. So pinch your pennies, save up, because they are worth the time and the effort. And it sucks waiting. I know. I really do. It takes a long time and it can be incredibly frustrating. But we, as in the artistic community, as writers, as artists of all kinds, we need to support each other in every way we can. So I understand wanting to keep to a low budget because food, rent, it's all there. But we also have to get by somehow too. So don't try to lowball folks, but also stay within the means of your own budget.
Let's switch back over to some super chats. Here's one from Zonic. Gag episode. Proto Man's energy core crisis was a joke. Dr. Light misremembered his joke as actually happening. 3 rules of robotics don't actually apply.
What? So Proto Man realizes his core was never in danger to begin with?
Was not actually going to explode and was just a joke.
So he went to Wily and got it reconfigured to an inferior one that will melt down for nothing?
Maybe.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Tommy Light? Huh? Here?
Is that what you're telling me?
12 games in, 12 plus?
Is that what you're telling me,
like the
Dad?
Spin-offs and the fighting games? Is that what you're telling me? Are those the words coming out of your Elmer Fudd Santa face? Is that what you're telling me, Dr. Light? I said I was sorry.
Not good enough.
I ain't going to give you the satisfaction of a busted to the face. I'm going off and getting a spin-off game.
Good. Finally. I'm sorry, poor old man.
It was a fault of my own recollection. My memory isn't what it used to be.
I can't fight Dr. Wily. Speedweed has a question. All right, dorks, let me riddle you this. What kind of alien tech would you like to see Samus interact with from your favorite work of fiction?
Ooh.
That's an interesting idea.
Goodness, spoiled for choice there.
Yeah.
I mean, the cheap, easy answer is just give Samus a lightsaber.
She has like a whip thing. It has Zero Suit Samus, so That's not quite the same. It's more like an
I'm
electric
just
whip.
saying, like a big old beam of consistent energy coming out of her arm cannon
Yeah.
for slicey, stabby, stabby. If the space pirates get it, she should have one.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
But everybody goes to lightsabers. Lightsabers are boring these days.
Arguably, they've been boring for 20, 25, 30 years even.
I mean, it would be kind of neat to have the Mass Effect relays, but that's just kind of just throwing her gunship from one side of the galaxy to the other to shoot things. That's not really like her tech. That's just a neat bit of tech in general.
Yeah.
Can't really say Star Trek phaser because she's got something way better. I mean, sure, she can't set her arm cannon to stun, but she can just bludgeon you over the head. Same thing.
I would say Mario power-ups, but she's already used at least half of them considering she's in Smash.
Sci-fi. I feel like I'm missing.
Yeah, I'm trying to
something.
think. I mean,
toss her into the war game scenario from Ender's Game with those floating blocks. Make sure that she has the paralyzing ray instead of her usual kit, and just watch her decimate all the students. Attention, cadets, you will be fighting a single opponent. Good luck.
How about the Avatar state?
Would you get that as sci-fi?
What could she do with? I don't know. Why not? I'm just thinking of, I guess, alien tech. I mean, whatever. It's an alternate universe. I can call them aliens. The suggestions from the chat are the Omnitrix from Ben 10, which not familiar with, but that could be interesting.
9 different alien variants of her abilities. Give her the power loader out of Aliens.
Yeah.
Have her fight the queen. Have her fight Mother Brain in that.
Well, I mean, that's just going all the way back around to her original inspiration.
Let go of the baby, you bitch. Wham, wham, wham.
Exactly. Give her a lantern ring, and that would be fun.
Oh.
I do like that one. That is a good one.
And brightest day and darkest night, space pirates are filled with fright.
Uh-huh. Yep. All right, let's move on to this one here from Stephen A. Star Wars comics. Let's talk about Ian and Kyle's favorites. Is Ian a fan of Dark Empire with Cam Kennedy's great artwork, or the Boba Fett comics?
I never really read any of the Star Wars comics back in the day.
Me neither. I haven't read any of the new ones either.
I remember going through a stack of like some vintage ones at an antique store and being really confused about the green rabbit. So who's this knockoff Bugs Bunny? What is this?
I know there were a lot of weird things going on in some of, especially the early Star Wars comics, because things weren't established yet, so they kind of just did a little bit of whatever they wanted.
I tell you what, the handful of stories that I wrote were some of the most stressful ones, because like, what do you do?
Yeah.
How do you add to the mythos in any kind of meaningful way? And found a couple of little things here and there, and I'm proud enough of the work, but I don't think it's going to be anything more than like a footnote in Wikipedia.
Is the green rabbit supposed to be Jabba the Hutt? Was that before he had his design finalized for Return of the Jedi? I mean, I could see that, yeah. I can see them being like, well, we have this character, Jabba the Hutt. What does he look like? I don't know, a green rabbit. Yeah, I could see that.
Future Jabba Jackrabbit.
I could see that.
And Jazza the Hutt.
It's true. Brett F has a question. My Hero Academia Vigilantes is getting an anime soon. Are you excited to watch it?
Sure. I haven't read the manga, which seems to be a recurring response here.
Uh-huh.
But it would be interesting to just the very concept of vigilantes in the Hero Macadamia universe is interesting, since superheroism is a career path. It is something that is intrinsic to society. So vigilantes brings a whole different spin on it. So I wonder how they explore it there.
Did you
I
say
also wonder if
did you say Hero Macadamia?
I absolutely did.
Okay, just making sure I heard that. Okay.
And not reading the manga, I wonder how faithful the anime will be.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually a big proponent of make it as faithful as possible. Just make it the pretty moving version of the comic. But sometimes liberties need to be taken for whatever reason, so maybe they'll flesh it out more. I don't know. But with Maka coming to an end soon, I mean, I imagine, because the manga's done, isn't it? Pretty sure it is.
I have no idea.
And I'm pretty sure this next season will have to be the last. Be neat to continue to get that universe going forward.
Johnny Gyro has a question. Funny crossover time. In the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, the bros were trying to find a way back to Brooklyn. Well, they tried a warp pipe and wound up in the TMNT lair from the 80s cartoon specifically. How does it go? I'm not shocked this didn't happen, but it really seems like it is something that could happen. That could have happened.
That might have actually been one of those kind of crossovers that was fun and withstood the test of time.
Might have, actually, yeah. Depending on how they approached it. But
Mamma mia, look at the size of those Koopas. Look out, Mario, they know karate.
They do. It's true.
But then, they're back in New York.
Technically, yes.
And they know the sewers just as well as the turtles, and the turtles are completely thrown off by this. And Shredder gets in there somewhere.
And Krang, obviously.
God, Krang and Koopa meeting.
Oh, man.
Why is his brain in his stomach? Shredder, this alligator's sassing me. I know it was just Mario and Luigi, but we need to have April O'Neil and Princess Toadstool.
Yeah.
Of the 80s Mario Brothers team up. That would rock.
That would be cool. Shredder gets jealous of Koopa. That's what happens.
Why does he have so many minions?
He's jealous when Krang and Koopa are like, best buds and Shredder's put out. Yeah.
Koopa just puts on cheese, Shredder's becomes the new Shredder.
Yes.
Whole running subplot of Toad being trained by Splinter and becomes a master ninja.
Koopa and Leatherhead meet up. There you go.
Call it something stupid like Kung Fungus. Abuse the pun. And you're like, why? But it works.
I just call it Kung Fungus. Yeah, that's terrible. But it's absolutely something they would do. It's awful, yeah.
But no, I kind of wish we were in that timeline. That would have been fun.
The Koopa and Shredder armor would be freaking awesome. That would be cool.
And then stinger for the next crossover is Rocksteady and Bebop are wandering through a forest, wondering where they wound up now. And Link says that they're the ugliest moblins he's ever seen.
Oh no! Oh no!
Well, excuse me, Krang. Shredder, give me the Triforce of Power.
Oh no! All right, Tristan has a question. Late Valentine's related Splatoon questions. If you were tasked with making a short Pearl and Marina Valentine's Day story, what would you do?
Let's see. Marina thinks that Pearl has forgotten Valentine's because she's so obsessed with her new album. Like, is not coming out of the booth, has been working nonstop on this thing. And is a little put out because she thought they had something going on. They were a good duo. And it's a day. Can't just take one day to be with your Palantine, at least, if you're gonna call it that. And then here comes Pearl with like the full ensemble live band, and it's an entire album devoted to Marina. That's her Valentine, just a full bloody concert for her.
Oh,
And Marina's like, this is really touching, but I wanted to collab, and Pearl's like, oh crap, yeah.
oh,
Well, all right, so that's next Valentine's Day. I'm thinking ahead. 2 steps ahead of you. How you like that?
yeah.
And Marina's like, oh my gosh, you do think of everything. And everyone's kind of going, oh, come on.
That's kiss already. There's one from Oz Jam. You seen the MHA movies? If so, what do you think of them and how do you feel about them being canon? Such as Might's ironed suit being made by a movie character, Melissa Shield. Note, she appears in the manga too.
I do appreciate the effort that the movies make to be canon without stepping on the toes of the rest of the canon. And for the most part, does a decent enough job with it. I mean, it's a Herculean task. I can only hold its feet to the fire so much. Trying to remember, the first one was all right. It was kind of fun. Nothing really remarkable, but it was a decent enough movie. The second one really did not like the last second turnaround of, oh, it was a miracle that the All for One decided not to be passed on. It's like, no, come on. Just say it's mysterious or something. Hand wave it beyond it. Stop. But you got to see the class do something, and that was nice enough. And then the third one was fine. I just felt like the buildup for the villain's whole gimmick. It's like, okay, what's the clever workaround for this? How are they going to subvert him and overcome? And the answer was just plus ultra. And it's like, well, I know that's a theme of this show, but punch it harder's kind of not satisfying. Deku's supposed to be the smart one. Do a smart thing. Don't just plus ultra him in the face. Come on. Come on.
Do something else.
I mean, they're fine. They're pretty. They're watchable.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't go out of my way to see them again necessarily, but they were not a chore to get through. They're fine.
Let's do a couple standard questions. Here's one from Ruby. Drogoon question. If you were given a blank check to make any one piece of Drogoon merch, what would it be? One of those uber expensive figurines, a shiny enamel pin, pocket protectors?
It has to be one thing?
Yeah, just one.
Does an entire line of action figures count as one thing? It's the line. It's the collect. Okay, fine. Shoot. One thing. That's cruel.
Choose wisely.
One thing, then a fully realized, kitted out tabletop game using the Drogoon lore.
Okay, yeah.
That's the gift that keeps on giving.
That would be nice. Have a whole
That makes
setting
the most
dedicated to it.
use
Yeah.
of that makes the most use of it. I mean, I want all the toys and figurines and collectibles and the fully functioning, Fortune's Lap that you can open up and have your little figurines walk around because it's a playset. But if we're talking a singular blank check project, have somebody who knows how to build a proper tabletop game, get the Drogoon lore, and then just let people live in that universe till the end of time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Suggestion in the chat, counterpoint, a foreign plush you can hug.
Also, highly recommended. Absolutely. Yes. You can put a little voice box in there. You give them a squeeze and personal space, please. We've talked about this. When not now, I'm busy.
He'd be a cute plush, though. All right, Might of Gebbera is here. Are your answers on fictional versus battles the official take, or are they largely subjective? What? Like,
I'm guessing it,
especially on things you haven't worked on. Especially, but still. Yeah. Okay.
Anything I've worked on, there is a degree of authorial intent, but any licensed material I work on is, subject to license or approval and adjustment. Anything I make myself, sure, there's a bit of word of God, but people are going to interpret it however they want. Stuff I haven't worked on, no, that's purely fan conjecture. Maybe not even fan conjecture, just blind nonsense being spouted from the mouth hole. It's
yes.
in anything I say on this show, take with at least a grain of salt.
Look at please refer to our disclaimer that's currently on screen and underneath every video. And
we're the BumbleKast. We'll answer your question, but it may not be accurate.
Here's one from Ann Tales. No question today, but I wanted to thank you two for continuing to put on an entertaining show in 2025. It's one of the things I genuinely look forward to with everything happening in the world. Aw, thank you, Ann Tales.
Greatly appreciate the support. Thank you very much.
Yes. May I Gaming asks, hey Ian, hey Kyle, I love hearing your podcast while working out. What do you folks like to heat when exercising? You mean eat or listen to, or I'm not sure what they're getting at here. Or hear when exercising. That's what I think they mean. There we go. There we go. That's what it says, heat. What do you folks like to heat when exercising? That's what it says. I'm guessing they mean here. Yeah.
What gets heated is my corpulent mass as I try to make it move.
Everything burns.
Even when I stop moving, the burning won't stop. If I'm on the elliptical, sometimes I'll put on music, and that can be anything from like a particular soundtrack to whatever is in the random list of folder, and it's like, I haven't heard this in a bit, just so that the time goes by. But I can also go without any sound and just sit there workshopping stuff in my head, and it's like, oh, it's been 30 minutes. Okay, time to move on. If I'm doing weights, though, I really I can't handle any other distraction. I need to focus on the form. I need to focus on the repetitions. I need to focus on, no, stupid, you don't need to go up weight on this rep. You're already starting to hurt. Don't do this to yourself again. Moderation. It's not a race. You're slowly building up strength. Put that one down and go back to the lower weight. You fool.
You fool.
I do it every time, man. like I'll go for a bit, and I was like, yeah, I'm actually getting the strength back, and look at what I can do now. Yeah. Oh, I can't do anything after that.
Nope.
Mm.
Nope.
Every time.
Mm.
Every time.
Mm.
At least I'm consistent in my stupidity.
When I do go for a walk, I usually just have music or whatever. Just something to listen to. If I'm not walking with anybody, for example. Or if I'm walking at home with on the treadmill or whatever. Or just nothing. Sometimes I just do that. Here's one from Decerity. Do you like Ghostbusters, and have you read the IDW comics?
I, as a child, the movies terrified me.
I mean, the effects are a little scary. They can be if you're a kid.
The cartoon scared me.
Oh.
The toys scared me.
Well, they are
Fragile child.
They're a little freaky. I mean, I was too.
Yeah, but all my friends were like, "Oh my god, this is so cool!" And I'm like,
I didn't like playing violent video games. Like at the time, the most violence I wanted was like stomping on Goombas and stuff. I didn't want anything like guns and stuff. Now I'm like, heck yeah, I played Doom. But back then, I'm like, no.
I got around to the original 2, and those are fun. They still hold up pretty well. And I didn't read the comic outside of the Ninja Turtles crossover.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, howdy, was that a masterclass on how to do a crossover. Like, it was fun. I understood at the very least that I was missing a reference, but that still put a smile on my face. And it managed to tie into the lore of both series without being so obtuse that you can't follow, and without being critical to either one. Like, if you're reading Ninja Turtles and you miss this crossover, you can still follow along later, but it adds a little extra if you've read it. And that's just exquisitely done.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't read any of the Ghostbusters comics, but I do like Ghostbusters. The first is a comedy classic. The second one's entertaining too. But I mean, the first movie is kind of like a legendary. So, and I even didn't mind the 2016 one. Never saw any of the newer ones though. Not yet. Question from Sharky. So you have experience with comics, right? I'm wondering, how would one go if they wanted to get a localization of a comic series in their language? If you know. Hello from Estonia.
Oh, wow. Estonia.
Awesome.
Thanks for tuning in.
You have really good internet, I hear. Way
Really?
way better than most places. Yeah. Yeah,
Huh.
Estonia is like, the government has like invested heavily in their internet infrastructure. It's like some of the best internet in the world.
Wow, good for them.
Yeah, for cheap. It's like rude. I want that.
My goodness, the government providing to the people. How novel.
Weird.
To get a comic localized, and part of my ignorance, what is the prominent language of Estonia?
Estonian. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't think,
I'm not sure.
but
It is Estonian. Yeah.
all right. You would need some kind of publishing house in Estonia to reach out and license the title from the original publisher. And the Estonian side would probably have to handle the localization and publication. I'm not 100% sure this is not the department I am usually involved with, but that is my general understanding. So if there is a publisher that you know of that works with importing and localizing books or other printed material from abroad, you can reach out to them and say, I would be interested in seeing this material brought over as well. And any kind of group effort you can muster showing that there is a market for this, that there is a demand for it, could help move things along. But it would ultimately come down to whatever the property is and what the businesses involved are. They would have to do the talking about finances and rights and whatever the publishing rights are internationally and so on and so forth.
Right. Leon D has a question. What are your thoughts on Batman and Catwoman relationships? Do any challenges pop up when writing these in particular?
Like Batman and Catwoman specifically, or hero and anti-hero? Villain.
I think that's what they
typically.
mean. Yeah. I don't
So
think
you're Batman, Catwoman, you're Spider-Man and Black Cat, you're
yeah.
Ladybug and Chat Noir to a degree.
I guess so, yeah.
I mean, they're definitely coded that way. Come on.
Well, I mean, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
just looking
fun.
at him, yeah.
But yeah, seriously. It can be fun. That kind of whole opposites attract sort of thing, and then you've got the moral aspect to it as well. The question is, how long are you going to play it out? And how far does the antagonism go? Like something like Spider-Man or Batman, where the characters have endured for so long and have seen such significant shifts in their tone, both the superheroes and I hesitate to call them villainesses, but Catwoman's done some nasty stuff in her time, but she's also been a pretty clear anti-hero, or pardon me, Meebo is nuzzling the mic stand.
He
Outright
loves that
heroic
mic.
stuff. Yeah, he loves attention is what he does.
Well, yeah.
Because you can't have your hero turn a blind eye to their affections villainy without becoming a hypocrite. There's an interesting story to be had there, interesting character exploration to be had, but to me, I feel like it needs to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Either they realize that there's an attraction, but they just aren't going to mix. One of them influences the other to change their personal trajectory, and maybe it sticks, maybe it doesn't. It doesn't have to go completely whole hog one way or the other. Like Batman doesn't have to go gentleman thief forever, although that would be super fun. Come on. Selena finally convinces him that this whole Cape Crusader thing is a waste of time, and gentleman thief Batman, yes please, that'd be fun. DC, call me. But
like they're gonna let you do that. It'd have to be an Elseworlds sort of thing. Wait,
that's fine. Make it an Elseworld.
Yeah, DC Elseworlds. Okay, yeah. I'm like, wait, is DC Elseworlds? Yes, it is.
I'm sure there's been at least one if in that trajectory, and if not, why not?
Yeah, exactly.
But it has to go somewhere. You can only tease that dynamic so long before the will they won't they becomes a who cares.
What? No, it can keep it going on forever. Come on, Ian. When they do finally get together, something's got to be done to tear them back apart. You know how it is. Batman's got to make a deal with the devil. Wait a minute, hold on. That was another hero. Never mind.
Can we get away from the cats?
No.
We've had enough cats in black leather. It's been done. Pick another animal.
What do you mean, like a bat?
A mink, a kangaroo. I don't care. Wombat, something.
That doesn't quite roll off the tongue. Wombat woman? I mean, I guess it has that alliteration, but... All right, Flamewave has a question. When working on long projects like Mega Man, how much of the story is outlined beforehand, and how specific are you in them as you get closer?
With Mega Man specifically, we mapped out about the year in advance. And that one was very structured from on top to be built for trade. So we knew that each arc was going to be 4 issues a pop, regardless. So it was all right. What is and because it was based on classic Mega Man, we had the greater narrative already laid out for us. So it was a question of what story beats do we hit in the classic continuity, and how do we space that out for trade? And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Sometimes we had to break it up further. That's why like the Ra Moon arc is like 2 trades, because you can't fit all that in like just 4. Um, Looking back, Spiritus Ex Machina probably could have stood to be like a 2 or 3 parter, but I didn't have control over that. So,
Yeah.
but I work about a year in advance to say, okay, here are the stories we're going to do. They're broken up into 3 arcs. Those 3 arcs are broken up into 4 issues. How do we do those stories within those parameters? And again, because it was classic and we knew where we were going with the story, ultimately it was, what can we seed throughout for what's coming down the line?
Alrighty. Well, there's a question from Bug. How would you integrate Man from the Mega Man Fully Charged series into Archie? If you need a refresher, he was a Mega Fan designed after Bad Box Art Rock, equipped with his trusty potato gun.
Yeah, I don't remember Man.
I don't remember that either.
Fully Charged was the cartoon,
The
wasn't it?
cartoon, yeah, the most recent cartoon with a smaller
Okay.
Mega Man in Mega Man's head jewel thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So, sorry, what was the core of the question?
How would you integrate Man from Mega Man Fully Charged series into Archie? He was a Mega Fan designed after Bad Box Art Rock.
Okay,
So,
yeah. Okay,
got that?
so
Okay.
Man into our just make it a super fan. I mean, the core concept is easy enough to transplant,
Uh-huh.
and Mega Man is a well-known hero by a certain point in the series, so have him show up and be supportive. I don't know how Fully Charged played it, if it was just pure comedy or if he was a tragic character or what, but you could take it in a few ways. Like, does he try too hard and get in the way? Does he feel like he can do better and thus does worse? Or just keep it as very light, funny stuff as like a one off or free comic book day fodder?
A goofy thing, yeah. I'm shocked they went with potato gun and not lemon gun. I know potato gun's a real thing and lemon guns aren't, but you know, he shoots lemons. That's what Mega Man does. Shoots lemons. Cherry Sapphire Cherry has a question. Look to your left and right. What 2 objects did you see first, and how much would you need to be offered to sell them? Or are they too important to sell? If the latter, why? What's their story?
Well, immediately to my left is my work laptop that I'm currently doing the show through. It has all of my personal and work information on it. So, no, you're not getting that. There is no price for that. This is my life on a hard drive. Mine, no touchy. To my right are strands of fairy lights, which I think we got at IKEA for like $10. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want them, you can just go to IKEA and get them yourself, because it would cost more to ship them to you. Also, like, the plug is behind the nightstand, and that would be a pain to dig out. I don't really want to do that. So no, you can't buy those either, because I'm lazy.
Well, there you go. I look to my left and I see my diecast DeLorean on top of my shelf here. And I mean, would I sell that? I don't know, maybe. How much? How much you giving? How much you paying? That's replaceable at least. But to my right, first thing I see is my mic stand, and I need that. So no, that's not for sale. I'm using that right now.
Kyle walking up to the Resident Evil merchant with the DeLorean. What are you selling? Kyle's like, how much you got? I'll buy it for a high price.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back in time.
I'm not sure what scale it is. Like a 140 something, maybe.
Oh wow, that's a big one.
It's definitely bigger than a Hot Wheels. Although I do have my collection of DeLorean Hot Wheels below it as well, but yeah, no, it's bigger than that, but it's not like gigantic. I don't know what scale it is, but yeah, it's pretty big. And here's one from Vineclad as we switch back over to some super chats. Dance scenes in movies tend to be terrible. However, there's one with Jim Carrey doing an over-the-top performance that everyone enjoys. What are your thoughts on the dance scene in The Mask?
Oh, phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. That movie is still great.
Yeah.
It's goofy. It's goofy as hell. It's a cartoon. It's
a cartoon is what you get down to it. It's a live action cartoon and it actually works.
It's super fun. Yeah. It's still great.
No. I mean, does it necessarily move the narrative forward?
No.
Do you care? No. Because it kind of encapsulates the energy of the movie. It's just fun.
Yeah.
You know, not everything has to be plot relevant. Sometimes you can just have fun.
Yeah. And honestly, like a lot of the effects in that movie are still pretty impressive. There's a lot of practical stuff going on in that movie. Like a lot of practical stuff. There's definitely CG here and there, but it's surprisingly like grounded and holds up really well.
And the nature of the CG, even though some of it hasn't aged technically as well, the style of it has endured.
Right.
So any jank you can kind of just chalk up to, well, that's just how it is in that universe.
Exactly. Yep. It's fantastic. All right, here's one from Onyxodon. If you were to make a What If Lion King where Mufasa was the evil king and Scar was the good uncle, how would you do it? So, like, would Simba then be like go against his father?
Well, no, let's kind of pull this thread. You got Simba, who is kind of an arrogant little jerk. And that stems from bad parenting. Like Mufasa is straight up teaching him all the wrong lessons about power and responsibility. And Scar's in the background trying to, very quietly, gently guide him in the proper path. Because he's already seen what his brother's doing. Can't see this going for another generation. Simba, please listen. And like the whole bit in the gorge is a legitimate attempt at, teaching him something. Look, here you are out on your own. I'm going to leave you behind. What great king would you be if you can't get on your own? Hard lesson. I'm going to show you some tough love, kid. Oops, here come the wildebeest, water buffalo. Wildebeest is wildebeest.
Yeah.
And Mufasa's like, oh no, my trust fund. Come here, kid. And he gets run over. And Scar panics because Mufasa had a cult of personality.
Yeah.
The lionesses are going to literally eat them alive. Run away, Simba, and never return.
Yep.
And then Simba is out in La La Land, wherever it was that Timon and Pumbaa were eating bugs. And Rafiki knocks some sense into him, saying, go back and do your job. And angry storm cloud Mufasa's like spitting lightning at him. Get back to work. Find out that Scar has desperately been trying to keep things in line, and he's had to make a devil's bargain with the hyenas, but all that did was just make him look more like the bad guy.
Yeah.
So he's at war with the lionesses, and Simba shows up. And do we want a good ending or do we want a dark ending?
I don't know.
Chat, quick. Good or dark?
Disney,
good or dark?
Yeah, Disney at the time kind of wavered on that. Mostly they were good endings, but I mean, like,
What's chat saying?
I'm looking. Let's see. They're slowly. Seems like dark might be edging it out.
All right, so
yeah.
Simba shows up, and the cult of personality kicks into full swing, and the lionesses wholesale rally around him, and all the good lessons he learned abroad are lost. And he never really got the lessons that Scar was trying to teach him, so he sees him as the villain. And they chase out the hyenas, and Scar gets thrown off of Pride Rock into the flames, and Simba just continues the cycle of violence that Mufasa started. But he's the hero because he vanquished his evil uncle, Hakuna Matata.
Oy. Terrible. The good ending is like basically the same as the actual movie, wouldn't it be?
Well, the good ending is that Simba's time away allowed him to, kind of break through Mufasa's programming, realizes what Scar was trying to teach him, and comes back and brokers peace, kind of de-escalates the lionesses, welcomes Scar back to his side, and together they bring peace to Pride Rock.
I mean, honestly, I think that one's better. I mean,
yeah, but you guys wanted dark, so I would dark.
But the dark one is definitely an interesting experiment. Now I'm just someone brought this up in the chat. James Earl Jones singing "Be Prepared."
Oh.
I mean,
yes, please.
Yeah.
Except it's the storm cloud spirit version spurring Simba to war. Good God.
Oh boy. All right, let's move on to this one from Andrew B. Hondo Onaka gets arrested by the Republic Clone Wars era to defend him. He calls Saul Goodman. How does it go?
God, I don't know if Saul could tolerate Hondo. I mean, he has to out of professional pride, but that would be a comedy of errors. And he'd win in the end. Because Saul's a good lawyer. But it might be like his ultimate test.
Yeah.
And Hondo comes out of it going, "Thank you, my friend. I promise that I will not do anything remotely illegal for the next, 24 standard hours."
Okay. 24 standard hours. Got it. All right, here's one from Damnables BP. Wario manages to steal loot from the Blue Rose and in glorious fashion tells Vice and the crew, "So long, losers," and launches bombs at their ship. What crazy antics ensue?
Oh, they're going to chase him down.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to find him, and it's going to be delightful because whatever ancient ruins Wario has hidden himself in are full of all sorts of booby traps that you have to solve within 3 to 5 seconds.
That would be good. That would be funny.
And I imagine he would be, as a boss fight, something along the lines of Zivlin Bane, where he's just tanky as all get out, hits like a freaking truck, and then he blows his war horn, and here comes Waluigi to help.
Is Warhorn be a fart? Obviously.
Yeah, fine.
Yep. You're welcome. And we got a question from Nova. In celebration of Monster Hunter Wilds in a few days, I have a question. Which of these monsters would you fight? I know you don't know what these are, but that makes it funnier. Fatalis, Arkveld, or Chatacabra?
Oh, Chetacabra. What a delightful name. I will
Chatacabra.
go into battle with my trusty spork.
Let me
I will
see.
ultimately either come out victorious or join the food chain.
I'm looking up Chatacabra now. Boy, that's a binding frog. Apparently, whoa. Okay, that's a. What is that? Wow, that's a. Wow, it's like an amphibian. Yeah, it's a frog type character. Interesting. Oh, that design is crazy. It's a very dinosaur-y design. Lizardy dinosaur. That's cool. All right, Godzilla has a question. The next Godzilla and Kong film is set to start filming in July. What would you like to see happen this time around? More original Titans like Scar King and Nishimo, or go back to the Toho well?
I didn't see the last one because they got it right the time before, and the trailer kind of showed me, oh no, they took all the wrong lessons again.
I think we've talked about this. I thought it was pretty entertaining, but I never actually saw Godzilla versus Kong, so I missed.
I mean, I'm sure it's delightful, stupid fun.
It is. It's
Just-
very stupid.
Maybe not my level of stupid. Anyway, so they're doing another one. I will always champion the Toho stuff.
Yeah.
That's the foundational stuff. And dadgummit, if they're going to go stupid, we need Angarius to come back. He's the Krillin of the Monsterverse. Let him show up, dadgummit.
If they got this whole Hollow Earth thing, why the hell do they not have Megalon? Where's Megalon, damn it?
Yeah. I understand it's a licensing issue, and so sympathy there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. None of the original, or at least original to this series, monsters have really resonated with me.
No.
There's one big mastodon looking thing that was like, oh, that's kind of cool, but none of them really felt like that old school Toho vibe. I mean, the Mutos kinda,
Eh.
but they felt a little too minimalistic. I will give the first Godzilla film credit that when they're fighting, they felt like the old school giant rubber costume physics. Like there's a particular moment when the flying Muto comes in, just swoops in to hit Godzilla, and it's like that feels like a prop on fishing wire being swung across a set. But it also feels grounded enough in the film's reality to not take you out of the moment. It felt like this beautiful middle ground between the two. I was really satisfied with the Godzilla fights in the first film. So that's where my head is at. Now, what old school Toho monsters? I mean, they blew the bank with King Ghidorah already. Dadgummit. Maybe okay. No, you know what? Screw it. Mecha King Ghidorah. Get it right this time. Or Gigan. Bring in Gigan. Gigan is always cool.
No, you know who they need to bring in? Biollante.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Biollante.
They could do Biollante.
Please. Biollante is freaking awesome.
And, make it a big old invasive species thing growing out of the core of the planet. And it's big enough that you can have a big tag team fight. Get Kong and Godzilla and Angarius and, I don't know, King Caesar. Why not? Throw him in there.
Yes.
All chomping on vines and fighting it. I have no idea how you'd make Space Godzilla make sense within this monster verse, but what? Who cares?
Destroya, yeah. Destroya. Do that. Apparently they've already set up Destroya.
Really? Okay.
So that could be interesting.
Yeah, that one wasn't bad. That had a
Yeah.
neat gimmick.
Yes. All right, and our last super chat that we have,
Hey, caught
we've
up.
got one from everyone who's asked one. So if you've asked multiple, we will push those out to future shows unless we get through enough of these standard questions to then go back. So I'm not seeing that happening. So this one is from Joe M. And Archie Mega Man, is Rock's definite future him being turned into Quint?
It seems that way, but I think I have a neat way to do that, but still have a happy ending for Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this before. I'm keeping it in my back pocket because I'm proud enough of this idea that I actually want to hold it close to the vest in the incredibly unlikely event I actually get to do it.
Who knows? Who knows?
But I think there is a way to maintain Quint, but also give Mega Man a happily ever after. So we'll see if I ever get to pull the trigger on that.
Fingers crossed. All right, back to the standard questions now. This one's from Alpha Oblivion 7. Do you guys like Dragon Ball? The latest series, Dragon Ball Daima, has been really good.
I have not seen Daima directly. I've seen a lot of feedback to it. And the general consensus seems to be it's very pretty and it's very entertaining. But also, if you are a hardcore fan or even a moderately attentive fan, you might be a little put out with the lack of progress in some directions. Like, so many ideas are set forward that could be cool, and then a lot of time is spent not investigating them or fully exploring them. I don't want to get too into details because it is still coming out, and there may be folks who are waiting to binge it or haven't gotten to it yet. I am surprised with where they went with some of the forms, but I kind of prefer them to comparable material. He said, dancing around spoilers like landmines. I don't know. I do want to sit down and actually watch it at some point because, at the very least, I've heard it's a fun watch. Uh, how this fits into the greater continuity, I'm at this point kind of just going to smile and nod. It might just be multiple choice. What comes after Z? Yes, whatever you like.
I am only familiar with Dragon Ball Z Abridged, pretty much, for the most part. So, and that's funny, but that's it. Here's one from Sonic. So has 2025 been for both of you so far, both in terms of general life and in terms of the BumbleKast specifically?
BumbleKast has been interesting. The fact that we were invited to MagFest and got to do the show live was a big milestone.
Yes, that's something we've been wanting to do for 10 years.
Well, the fact that we got pretty much the whole crew, JR honorable mention,
Mm-hmm.
was also really cool.
Yes.
And we are entering into a kind of experimental stage for the show.
Yeah.
As we pursue new avenues and new ideas. So it's kind of hard to define. It's really exciting, and it's really shaken up the status quo for what we've been doing for so long. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see where we go from here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you've already seen some of that. We've had like guests like Gigi on, and we want to do some more stuff like that, and just change things up a little bit. We want to have more of the crew doing stuff. We might revive our. I think we're going to be reviving our Twitch stream channel. So if you head on over to twitch.tv.com/BumbleKast, you will find us there. And I think that will be something to look forward to going into the future. And bringing back some BumbleKast gaming that way. And some other stuff, too. So, yeah, look forward to it. That stuff we're working on, stuff we've got in ideas we've got. And, yeah, we'll just keep going there. Keep going. Otherwise, 2025 has been all right. And the greater status of the world, notwithstanding.
Notwithstanding.
Personally, though, it's been fine.
January was very stressful for me because Midna the BumbleKat went through a lot of very expensive tests and procedures, and it was looking dicey for a bit with the MagFest trip mixed into all that.
Yes.
But the trip is done. She is on the mend and doing better. And February itself has been kind of chill. Granted, I was laid out with COVID for 2 weeks, so that's part of the reason it was chill. I couldn't do anything. But, got some neat projects coming up and really focusing on trying to get my own stuff up and running. Drogoon's going to be out this spring, he said, hopefully. So, optimistic for the future. Present state of the world notwithstanding.
Yes. And here's one from FMS Draws. Thinking I've asked this one before, not sure if it ever got through, but how would you make a UT comic? Like a
UT?
Unreal Tournament?
Oh, shoot.
Is that what you mean? FMS, are you still in here? Undertale? Maybe Undertale. I think they might mean Undertale. Yeah, they mean Undertale. I mean, I didn't see an Unreal Tournament comic. That'd be interesting. I don't know how you'd approach that, but anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Undertale, I would do it as 3 trades. One that's the pacifist route, one that's the genocide route, and then one that is the true route.
Uh-huh.
Now, part of the thing with Undertale is you can do a lot of things to change the trajectory of certain character arcs and still achieve the same endings.
Yeah.
So you'd have to settle on what is I hate to say canon, but what is the one direction you're going for each story? And I feel like that would be kind of like an abridged version of the game, because part of what made Undertale's story so effective was your input changing the course of the story.
Right.
You had a very tangible effect on the narrative, and you can't really do that in a comic. I mean, you could maybe do a choose your own adventure style, but that would be a mammoth effort.
Yeah, that would be a huge book.
And to do that and do it in that format, I think would throw off the flow of the story as you're flipping to the next page to pick up where you left off. Whereas the game itself is rather seamless because you are moving from one event to the other. So if I were to approach it, I would do it in 3 trades to tell the most concise version of the 3 stories. But that's just as kind of like a companion piece to the games. You cannot fully transpose the Undertale story to a static medium like that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Titanium Grills has a question. Is localizing a Japanese property a good or a bad thing? On one hand, it does help make it popular overseas, but on the other hand, like with 4Kids, it kind of takes away from important story elements.
This is a much, much larger debate.
I think
I don't know if I'm...
I was going to say, I think it's more on a case-by-case basis, and also, like, it's more about the quality of the localization than anything. Like, You can have
Well,
a
I know
good
there's
and a
some.
bad localization. It's not like, oh, all localization is bad. It's just, sometimes there's a bad localization. Sometimes
Yeah,
there's
I
not.
know there are some folks who are in the camp that localization is bad, period,
Yeah.
because you cannot fully translate every aspect of the art to make it accessible. There will be language barriers, there will be cultural loss in the exchange. And in some cases, what is perfectly fine in one culture is taboo in another. And do you soften that? Do you edit it? And if you edit it, you're changing the original work. Is that even allowed? It's a very thorny discussion. I, for my part, don't think it's reasonable to expect every consumer to learn every language and cultural nuance around the world to absorb and consume all the art that is out there.
And no, that's unreasonable.
So if the work is being localized, it needs to be done with care
Mm.
and with cultural consideration in there. And whatever is done, I feel like there needs to be an open dialogue between the original creators and the localizers so that if anything does need to be adapted for regional sensibilities or what have you, that they can together come to a consensus where that the intent of the art is still there or the messaging or what have you, but that it is still accessible overall. You're not going to be able that doesn't give you the original product, but then again, the very nature of localization doesn't give you the original product. So I feel like that's a reasonable compromise. That takes a lot more time and effort than what a lot of localization projects do, but we're talking about the best case scenario here.
Yeah. I mean, even subtitles, just straight up, a straight translation is still doing some level of localization because there's certain things in
Right.
other languages that you just can't translate into others. It just doesn't make sense, or at least translate into certain languages. It just either doesn't make sense or it's impossible to do so. So at some point, there has to be at least some sort of, have to make some sort of decision of like, well, okay, let's do it like this instead. And it's just kind of like, uh, I don't know. I feel like localization gets a really bad rap.
Well, because when
And
you
it's
do a sloppy job of it, it's a disservice to
because
the
we've
material.
had really bad localization, especially like early localization.
Right.
I feel like it's better now, but there's also more scrutiny on it
Hmm.
than there used to be too. So that's also part of it. So,
And I think that if it's an avenue to make art from other parts of the world and other cultures and other styles more accessible, that itself is not a bad thing. Maybe you're getting a diluted version, maybe you're not getting the purest version, but at the very least, you are getting the exposure to broaden your horizon and your experiences, which I would hope would prompt you to go to the source
yeah.
and immerse yourself even further.
Alrighty. Chaos Dust and Steam asks, in your opinion, what is the limit that lore in a story for all audiences can go? Because I feel like if there's too much lore, it goes wasted. So what's the balance that should be maintained?
That's the tricky thing, ain't it?
Uh huh.
Depends on what the project is, what is its scope. Like if you're doing a done in one 20-page comic, you don't need the Cimmerillion behind it. You need to understand who the characters are, what their motivations are, and you yourself need to understand the theme of your story, and that's that. If you're doing something that is a massive multimedia, multiple year continuous release thing, then yeah, you need more stuff. And there you have the liberty to have a deeper lore because you will have a section of your fan base that wants it. It becomes part of the greater product. Like, speaking of Star Wars, and we're going to go like pre-extended universe reboot. I bought books about the ships and the planets and the aliens, which have zero bearing on the movies.
Uh-huh.
And me being a super nerdy kid was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. I'm glad that wasn't reflected in the movie. But it was still fun to get into that lore and experience it within the context of the canon because I was just really into it. But if you were not, and you didn't even know those books existed, you can watch the original trilogy and be fine. So, well, I guess what I'm getting at is you need enough lore for the scope of your project. If it is a big project, you need a big canvas. If you have a small project, you don't need to get lost in the weeds.
Mm-hmm. Here's one from Gecko. Hi, Uncle Ian and Kyle. I think you said you've done work for IDW TMNT, but have either of you seen Rise of the TMNT? Highly recommended, and the 80-minute Netflix movie.
Yes, I've seen most of Rise. Hard to quantify. A lot of it, at the very least, and the movie. And honestly was turned off of it at first in the initial season,
Mm-hmm.
and then saw people talking about it in the second season, later episodes at least, putting the pieces together that were very delicately seeded in the first one and going, oh, wait, there's actually some substance here, and went back to it. And once you get used to the cadence of some of the humor, I think the second season is stronger overall. And what it's doing with the characters and their dynamics and this version of the family is very different, but I feel like very well thought out. And at the very least, I think this is the most interesting take on Splinter we've had in a long time. Because Splinter normally is the wise, wonderful father figure, and there's nothing wrong with that. But Rise's Splinter is a deeply flawed and tragic person. And I find that fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing how that all of his personal trauma and how that has affected how he's raised this family by accident and him growing past that trauma for them and because of them is just a really neat, different take on it all.
I did not see it. Well, I take that back. Watched the first episode, and I thought it was all right, but I've not gone back to revisit it, even though I've heard people talking about it, and I've heard that it's ended up being really good, like you were just saying. So I might go back and revisit it and check it out again. But the first episode didn't really grab me. So, but I mean, it is just the first episode. It's not. Yeah.
Also, liked how they leaned more into the mysticism side of things rather than the sci-fi. The sci-fi is still there.
Yeah.
It's just different. Also, the action sequences are just freaking insane.
Yeah, the animation was really good. I do remember that. And the style's cool. So I might go back and revisit it once again. All right, here's one from Strawberry. You guys learn of your true destiny to be magical girls. What are your powers, abilities, and animal sidekicks? Uh,
Bumble compact transformation.
mm,
I am not comfortable with the length of this skirt. Thank you very much. I need a little more modesty, but guess I don't really have a say in this. Thank you, magical moon whatevers. They gave me my Bumble compact.
uh-huh.
My power is whenever I speak, I actually form word balloons, which I can then use as personal shields or bludgeons, or I can just keep talking nonstop and like suffocate and smush the enemy from the pure volume of the nonsense coming out of my face. And companion has to be either the little Bumble King itself or a cat, because that's the two animals that I am associated with.
Yeah. Mine would be probably a guinea pig. I like guinea pigs. Powers, I don't know. Power of song. Power of giggles.
Sailor Kyle shows up, and there's always going to be an awesome battle tracks. We don't know where it comes from, but it's there.
We don't even know why it's there. It's just following me around like a battle theme. Yeah. It's like, what's going on? Who am I fighting this time? It's like, yeah, nothing. It's just there. It's just this tune. I don't know. And here's one from Guitar Station. If Roll was chosen to be the super fighting robot instead of Rock, how much differently would she handle the Robot Masters in the first arc of the Mega Man Archie comics? This is not dissimilar from the one we had earlier, but this is specifically asking about first arc. Yeah. So
I would. She might be able to talk them down, or at least get them to lower their defenses. I feel like she would have a more clever way of overcoming their individual strengths or advantages and not just rely wholly on the weapon energy.
Yeah. All right, here's one from True Digi Holy App Labs 11. Ian, if you could write a Wario comic series, what would it be like?
Starting out, I just imagine a fairly light-hearted and loose adaptation of the Wario Land games.
I could see Wario it playing out like a Scrooge comic.
Yeah.
Although, well, I don't know, because Scrooge in the comics is much less heroic and good than he is in DuckTales. So I could see it being more like, yeah, he might be a little bit more like Wario.
The thing there is you have to have Wario either going up against something that is far worse than his personal greed.
Yeah.
Or, have just it being his adventure, and then when he does something nasty, he gets his comeuppance comically along the way. There's something to be said. Because he's got kind of a running rivalry with Captain Syrup, right? Like they're both basically trying to plunder each other.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's...
I mean, that's fun. They're both nasty people doing nasty things to each other. You're rooting for them both because whoever loses, you win as a reader.
Yeah.
I just keep it generally lighthearted, slapstick violence. Play into the spectacle and the art of it, and
yep.
I guess there has to be the occasional fart joke.
I can consult you. I can consult on those. Mm-hmm. I can help you.
And then, wrap up the first saga with Wario having finally amassed enough treasure that he can start his own gaming company. And then we go into the WarioWare arc.
And we do that, yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Here's one from oppressed SVTFO fan. Oh, SVTFOE fan. There we go. So could Hologram Light and Surges / Isaac have a conversation?
I don't know. I'm inclined to say no. Because Hologram Light seems to be programmed specifically to interact with X and support him. And I think there's a bit where he can interact with Zero, and he's like, I got nothing for you, buddy. I don't even know who you are. Like, there's a degree of incompatibility there. So, I mean, it's debatable just how aware hologram light is. Goodness knows I'd like to explore that, but
Yeah.
I don't know if he is aware enough to really interact with anything outside of his primary coding.
Charming Magician has a question. Charming Magician has a question. How would you pitch a Rayman and Shantae crossover?
Oh, well, they're fighting Razorbeard, that's for sure. Yeah, Razorbeard survives Rayman 2, does something to mess with the genies,
There you go.
and Rayman and Shantae have to team up to stop him and get him back. And you have to have a couple of sight gags where Rayman throws a fist and Shantae whips her hair and they get tangled. Rayman's now like handless because his hand's all tangled in that ponytail, and she's like, "Wait, I can't get it out. Can you reach back there and untangle?" It's like, "I can't. You have my hands." He teaches her to do that little helicopter twirl with the hair so she can fly too. She teaches him to dance, and he turns into all sorts of weird Rayman-esque animals. And she's like, "What did you turn into?" And he's like, "I don't know." But keep it upbeat. Keep it silly, but adventurous.
Of course.
And I mean, Rayman's very upbeat and heroic, and Shantae's upbeat and heroic, so they get along just fine.
Yes. Gotta have Risky in there, of course.
Oh yeah. You get the whole extended cast in there.
Uh-huh.
But that's the crux of it. Is Razorbeard, and he's the cause of it. And they team up and they beat him and they get back what they need to.
Yep.
And it's just a fun time throughout.
I would love that.
Rayman throws one of his fists and Roddy Tops is like, "Oh, I can do that too," and just throws an entire arm.
Throws her head.
And Rayman's like, "Yeah, but mine comes back." And she's like, "Mine can too." And just like crawling around on the ground like a spider.
Trying to find it. Yeah. All right, Jinx Productions asks, Wily's Isekai adventures continue. This time he finds himself in a place with sunny days where the air is sweet. He's arrived on Sesame Street. How does it go?
Well, he finds an apartment.
Uh-huh.
And everyone's like, "Geez, and we thought Oscar was a grouch." And he kind of settles into a rather mundane life. This particular avenue does not have the level of tech he needs to do what he wants. But that market down the street really is rather well stocked, and the neighbors are inferior in their intellect, but certainly welcoming enough. But he has a plan. You see, he has heard of some strange power source, this Snuffleupagus. Once he has acquired the Snuffleupagusm, he will build a robot that will tunnel through space and time and get him home.
No, Snuffy.
Doctor, listen. You need to relax. Cookie Monster have good mantra for you. C is for cookie, and they're good enough for everybody, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Wily knows there has to be some kind of interdimensional options here because Elmo keeps going into Elmo's world. He's singing about it all the bloody time. He must find the Snuffleupagus.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Sitting there working on the diagram for his next machine, kind of humming to himself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
All right. We've got at least one more super chat here that's
right, let's
coming.
round out the show
We'll
with
just
that.
do that. I don't think we should end the show off with this one. Well, maybe we could. I don't know. It depends on how you answer it.
Okay, ominous.
This one is from SDHG. If you're such a great writer, why does Drogoon have virtually no audience?
Because it isn't really out yet.
Rude. But also, yeah, it's like, it's not really a thing. It barely is. Like, also, there's a difference between like marketing and like creating. Marketing is a very different thing.
Like, I'm bad at self-promotion. I admit
Yes.
that. And
Yes,
I
we are.
don't want to push a product until it's actually there.
Yeah.
It's real easy to say, oh, this is going to be the most brilliant work of fiction that's ever been fictionalized.
Uh-huh.
And it doesn't mean anything until it's actually out there. And we've run into a lot of delays getting the book done for various factors. So that's why I don't go whole hog on saying, here comes Drogoon. Because every time it gets delayed, it's like, yeah, is this coming? When's it going to come, Flynn? You keep talking about it. So we've had little successes, little bits of progress here and there, but it's been piecemeal. And you don't get a dedicated audience when your material is piecemeal. That's all there is to it. So
Really, yeah. And
once it's out, once it's done, once I can finally point to it and say, here it is, look at it, love it. And, I don't know, maybe I can rope Kazzy into doing the marketing for me because I'm bad at this. Then maybe we'll see if something coalesces. But I'm not really stressing over it anyway, because Drogoon is my cathartic personal project.
Yeah.
Like, if nobody likes it, that's fine. I'm still going to put it out there because it's mine.
Yeah. It's
There's
for
no
you.
licensor. There's no editor. It's mine. It's my thing that I can call my own. And if you've been following the show this long, if you've been following me for the past 20 years, I'm willing to roll the dice to say there's at least a dozen of you that are going to enjoy it.
There is interest in Drogoon, if this show is any indication, especially over the last few months. I mean, part of that is because, there's certain things we can't talk about anymore on the show. But also, there is actually interest. And we've had people over time be like, oh, they want to know more about Drogoon. They ask questions about it. They say that they aren't wanting it. So there's a few people out there who are interested.
And I'm, hopefully this spring they'll be able to enjoy. But yeah, the reason why there isn't a huge Drogoon fan base is because there's no Drogoon to fan base around.
Yeah, not really. I mean, the first pass exists, but it's it's out there, but you're not pushing it, and it's old. It's not something you really want to. You're not necessarily out there pushing it because it's not what you want people to be. It's not what you want people to go for. You want people to be interested in the new stuff.
I'm fine where we are feedback wise right now because there's not the feedback on. So if you go to drogoon.com and read the free digital stuff and you're like, hey, this is kind of neat. Can't wait for you to actually put out a solid product. Cool. And we get fan art every now and again. That's neat. I really actually need to update the website. We got new fan art. And if you look at the free stuff and you're like, nope, not interested. Good luck with your book. Also fair.
Yeah.
It will be what it is.
It's like asking, if the Switch 2 is so cool, why isn't it out yet? Or if the Switch 2 is so cool, why isn't there a Switch 3? It's like, all right.
And a lot of this sounds like deflection, but I'm just being honest here. And a lot of folks who know who I am, it's because of a very particular product.
Yes.
And that fan base typically doesn't stray outside of their fandom.
Nope.
Which is just the nature of that fandom. And that's been a very sobering lesson to learn.
Yes.
To write for so long and feel like, oh yes, I am an accomplished author. And then to do anything else outside of that, Mega Man, New Crusaders, Ninja Turtles, Star Wars, Minecraft, list goes on, and people are like, "Oh, you did something else?" And it's like, ah,
Yeah.
I I thought you were coming here for the soup. I thought I was the soup. I am the spoon. I see.
No, you've got people who follow you around and check out
Yes,
different stuff.
yes.
But yeah, I know.
There are spoon collectors out there, and I thank you for your interest. But
Yeah.
I have learned the lesson that I've been writing on some coattails for a while now, and some folks enjoy the style of coattail writing I write.
Yeah.
So for that, the performance will go on. But I don't know. It is what it is. Once Drogoon is done and out and continues to grow,
Mm-hmm.
we'll see. We'll revisit the idea and see how it does. But
Well, hang on, Ian. We've got 8 standard questions left.
Oh,
Do we want to burn through those a little and get through those? Yeah.
Because I felt really bad in December when we only got the one standard and we just got like flooded
Yes.
with super chats.
Yeah.
And we were obligated to do the super chats, but I felt bad that we didn't get to any standards. So
yeah.
We missed out on January as well. Let's finish up the standards.
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's do that. Alrighty. Yeah, but we'll cut it off here. No more questions, folks. Thank you guys so much for asking your questions and for supporting us and sticking around. We'll keep going for a little bit here. This one is from Lalale 2001. What's your favorite thing about the Sabrina comics you made for Archie? How much of the older series did you read to prepare?
Oh goodness. I almost was. Hold on one second. Meebo?
Uh-oh.
Stop it. He's trying to eat my headphones out of the computer. Stop it.
No.
All right. Sabrina. See, I immediately defaulted to the Young Salem stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, I read manga Sabrina and really dug how it was done and loved the fact that I got to do this kind of spin out concept of it. Really wish we could have done more with it. But then I remembered, you're right. I did do some more recent Sabrina stuff last year.
You did, yeah.
And those were challenging because they were 5 pages apiece. They had to be standalone because they were in individual specials. And they still had to have a connecting narrative between them. So hitting all those notes was an interesting challenge. But I like Sabrina. She's a fun, easy access, loose magic system fantasy series.
Yeah.
And Salem is a delightful, snarky companion. So it's just a fun playground to be in.
All right, here's one from Peregrine78. I've seen on all of your 2025 stuff that y'all aren't taking any Sonic-related questions, but I haven't been able to find a reason why. If I may ask, why are you unable to answer those now?
It's all my fault. I am so intrinsically tied to the franchise now that there's a lot of confusion over anything I say and just how canon or official it is. So for the sake of my own career and just keeping things simple for everyone else out there, I'm laying off the questions.
Yep. Uncle Bean's Movie Reviews asks, would either of you like to be Ratatouille? What for?
Ooh. Let's do a fun crossover. Ratatouille into The Last Starfighter.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how to pilot a spaceship, but Remy does.
That's funny because I was going to say race car driver. Basically same thing, except,
yeah, more or less.
More grounded. Yeah.
I imagine you've got the race car helmet on and he's like in a tiny little dome on top of the race car helmet.
Yes. Yeah. That would be cool. Here's one from Ellie. Ian, do you have any opinion on Bomberman lore? If you could write for the characters, how would you handle the villains like Dr. Bugler and his 5 Dastardly Bombers team, or the villains from Bomberman 64?
I am not familiar with the Bomberman lore at all.
No, I'm not either. I love playing Bomberman, but I am not aware of the lore. I need to play Bomberman 64, actually. It is a good game.
But just
from
like
what
that
little
surface
I
level introduction
remember of it, but go ahead.
That surface level introduction just sounds fun. So I would like to do the research first. And then, apologies, Meebo is chewing on my knuckles. Buddy, I'm live.
He's nomming on everything over there. That's the problem. You're not paying attention to him.
He's kicking my leg and everything, buddy.
Yeah, and you're having the mic interference going again. I blame Meebo this time.
Should I do a quick unplug replug?
Yeah, might as well.
Be right back.
Please stand by, folks, for slight technical difficulties. Just to be safe, we need to get. We don't want to make Ian. We don't need Ian's mic frizzing out. Uh-oh. Did Meebo stop him from plugging his mic back in, or did Discord be like, oh, that mic's gone, now I'm on this mic, or I'm on no mic? Either that, or did he crash? Oh no. Oh no. Maybe Meebo ate the mic. Yeah, he did. Meebo might have eaten it.
Check.
There you are.
Discord did the fun thing again where it's like, do you want to use this mic? Yes. Well, select this mic again. Yeah.
Well, too bad. You don't get this mic.
Anyway, Bomberman lore. Need to do my research. Would love to get into it regardless because it looks like, just style-wise, a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right, here's one from Riot. How do you think Lord of the Rings would play out in the Kingdom Hearts universe? How do you think the ring would fit in? I'm wondering why it would be there, why Lord of the Rings would be a thing in there, but I don't know.
Give Disney enough time, it'll buy New Line. So would Sora like transpose into Frodo? Or into Aragorn?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is he... Are the shattered shards of the Keyblade going to be reforged in Rivendell? Are we going to get Goofy as Gandalf the Goof?
Oh no!
You shall not pass. And the bridge crumbles away as the Balrog falls into the abyss. Run, you goose!
Oh no!
Okay, and so it's Frodo Sora because he's got them big hobbity feet anyway.
Yeah.
Tromping along, and he's got the ring, and he's taking it to Mount Doom, but really he's looking for Donald because Donald's been missing this entire time, and he's really worried. And what he doesn't realize is Donald is sneaking around behind him the entire time going,
okay, Donald is Smeagol, okay. Somebody actually did apparently a video on YouTube of what if Gandalf sounded like Goofy.
Great minds think alike.
Oh no, but also, oh yes. Oh, that's funny. I also do like the idea of Goofy and Donald as Gimli and Legolas. That is funny. That's also funny. Yeah. But yeah. I do like Goofy as Gandalf. That's better.
Goofy takes down the entire Oliphant, and Donald's like, that still only counts as one.
Oh, man.
Can't see anything. You want me to get you a box?
Go. Wait, that's Banjo. The same voice.
God, Elvish spoken in Goofy's voice.
No. Oh, no. Oh, man.
Oh, I can imagine the entire Moria thing in Donald's voice. And they call this place a mine. A mine! But in that garbled, squeaky, gargling coffee thing. Oh my God. I love it. I love it.
I don't know how this happens, but it needs to. Oh, man. A wildcard asks, Mario has decided to finally copy spin-off ideas from the Blue Blur series rather than vice versa. What kind of storybooks do you think would fit if Mario was the protagonist?
Huh.
Those interesting thoughts. It's hard to imagine a more story-driven Mario. 'Cause, I mean, he's definitely not as talkative or as snarky.
Right. And he's already done the storybook thing. It's a whole series of RPGs called Paper Mario. Ba-da-bum-bum.
Yeah.
Because he's the everyman and he's got a little bit of a temper, but he earnestly wants to help anyway. So it would work as a protagonist. Just throw him into the mix.
Yeah.
What would be a good story?
I mean, we could go back to the King Arthur
Maybe?
have to definitely switch things up a bit.
Toss him into the 12 Labors of Hercules.
Okay, yeah.
Because, Mario's all about overcoming some pretty crazy environmental and enemy hazards.
Yeah.
That could work.
Okay. Yeah, that would actually make some sense.
Toss him into some of the American Tall Tales. Mario is Pecos Bill. Mario is Paul Bunyan.
I mean, that Mario's Paul Bunyan. That just looks like an outfit he'd wear. I mean, yeah. Something like that. I could definitely see that. Yoshi would be Babe the Ox.
Yeah.
Or Green Ox, though. Unless it was a blue Yoshi. There's definitely some ideas there to play with. All right. We've got 2 questions left. This one's from Dragon Rook. How do I send fan art to you guys over at the BumbleKast? I just got done with some fun pencil art and I wanted to share it with you folks and the people listening.
That sounds really cool. Send it over to contact@BumbleKast.com.
Yep, contact@BumbleKast.com. Or you can, if you're in our Discord, just put it in there, but I'm guessing you're not.
Or if you're on one of the social media channels like Blue Sky, tag us at BumbleKast.
Yeah, yep. Tag BumbleKast on social media, and that's also a great way to share it.
And make sure to say that it's clear to share, because we don't want to take anybody's art and distribute it without their permission.
Right. And last question is from Gemmo123. Suicide Squad team with any villains you want. Who's on the team?
Oh, goodness.
There's a lot. That's a wide net.
We've been hitting on some Nintendo stuff this episode, so I guess basically take your Super Smash Brothers roster.
I suppose.
You get Bowser in there. You get Dr. Wily.
That's Capcom, but okay.
I know Wily is at Nintendo. I'm going Smash Brothers. Shush.
He's not in Smash Brothers either. Well, I guess he technically is.
Yeah, he's technically
in there. It's not playable.
Well, I said anybody, so I can bend the rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ocarina's Ganondorf.
Specifically, Ocarina's Ganondorf?
Yes.
Not Matt Mercer Ganondorf?
No. And because he physically is too large to take up space. There's no exploder collar that can get around that neck.
I guess. I don't know if Ridley's there.
No, Ridley's the one they're trying to bring down.
Okay.
So you've got Bowser, Wily, Ocarina Ganondorf, Wario for sure, because you need that chaotic energy. And fifth one to round it out. Who to round it out?
Trying to think.
It said villain specific.
Wolf from Star Fox?
Yeah, all right. Yeah. He's the only one who actually has his head in the game.
Until it gets blown off.
Yeah, no, that would be a fun dynamic between those five.
Unless they're... One of the a suggestion in the chat is that the squad's mission would be to steal the Triforce from Ganon. That could be interesting.
Yeah, that works. That works.
Yeah.
Still sticking with Ocarina's Ganondorf in there, though. Play multiverse with it.
Okay.
So you've got big beast Ganon as the opposition. It's like, oh, well, you're basically him. You're in his head, right? You can figure this out.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure. Of course I am. Trust me, everyone.
Hyrule Warriors Ganon.
Oh no!
He's a big man. He's a big
You
big
can't
pig
beat that
man.
guy though.
He's a big pig man. Well, that's true. Yeah.
Side tangent, but that was one of the most guilty pleasure moments in gaming. Where you just play as Ganondorf. And you beat up the heroes, and there's no lose condition. You can't lose.
Well, no.
You just conquer as the king of evil.
Well, no. I'm talking from the end of the game as Ganon, the giant pig man.
Oh,
Ganon.
yeah, I get
yeah.
That. I was
he's
thinking, blue with a spear.
He's like huge. Yeah, he's gigantic. Either way.
But yeah, I think that's enough volatile personalities.
Yeah.
With varying degrees of how much will they screw things up for their own benefit to actually keep you guessing and have a fun dynamic between those five. That would be fun. I would like that.
Yep. I think that's a good note to end this episode on.
Yeah. Maybe if I can carve out some free time, I'll throw that together, put that on the personal Patreon, because that thing is woefully empty.
Do that.
Anyway, though, that's neither here nor there. And in a moment, neither will we be. Thank you so much for joining us for BumbleKast Live. Thank you for all your super chats and for all your questions and supporting the show and filling out the time. It's a lot of fun hanging out with you guys.
Yep.
Kyle, you got anything to wrap us up with?
No, just thanks everybody for coming and hanging out with us, sending in your questions, and for your super chats. Very much appreciate it. I'm glad we were able to get through all basically at least one standard and super chat from pretty much everybody who asked one. So that's awesome. If you asked multiple super chats, we'll get to them in upcoming episodes. So stay tuned.
Until then, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we will see you next time on the BumbleKast.
See you later, everybody.